What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to take a look at vue-router. Routing is an essential part of any application, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's pretend that we're building this to-do app as a service, so the main functionality should be behind a login. We'll take a look at authentication in another video, but we'll set up our routes here. Okay, so the starting point of this is when I finished the Laravel API. But I'll also make it available for the Firebase backend. Okay, so I want to start with having a landing page as the entry point for this app. So let's go ahead and make a master layout. Okay, so in my code, I am going to make a new folder called layouts, and I'm going to make a new file in there called master.vue. Go ahead and make our template, and I'm going to do div id app, and I'm going to make a global nav that all components will use as well. So okay, so just going to make a few items here. Home. All right, let me just put a class on this. And here is where any of our content for our other pages is going to go. So content for each page goes here. Okay, let's put our script tag in here. And I'm going to leave that blank for now. And I'm just going to paste in some styles here. It's just doing some resets, and this is actually taken from our old entry point, which is app.vue. So I don't need that anymore in there. Let's just comment that out. And this is just styling the nav that I just made up here. Okay. Now let me make a few more components that we'll use later, just basic pages. So I'm going to make another folder called marketing, and these will just hold static pages such as the landing page and say an about page. We'll just name it about actually. And then another folder for login and register. We'll put that under a folder called auth. So login.vue and register.vue. And let me just put some content in one of them in the landing page. So let's just say landing page content here. Okay. Okay, now let's go into our main.js, and let's change our entry point from this default app one to the one we just made. Okay, so we don't need this one anymore, and we can do import master from components, layouts, master, and then down here we can just do master like that. Okay, and let's see if our entry point changed. There we go. There's our menu that we made, and here is where we'll slot in each page. Okay, now let's install vue-router. So let me just stop this and npm install vue-router, and just give that a second. Okay, and let me run my server again. Okay, back to our code. Let's go ahead and start using the router. So we have to import it, import vue-router from vue-router, and then we have to use it somewhere down here, so I'll put it right here, vue.use vue-router, And now let's make some routes. So routes will be an array. And let's just make a few for demo's sake. So the path, let's have one that goes to the main route, and the component responsible for that is the landing page one we made. And just make another one. Let's make one for the actual to-do, and the component for that is the old one. So the entry point for that was app. So for these two components, we actually have to import them. So let me uncomment this one, and let me add the landing page one. Let me just copy this. Okay, landing page. Okay. Sorry, this is marketing. Okay, now let's make a new router. So const router is new vue-router, and we can do routes is that routes variable we have up there, or for ES6 we can just leave it like this. So I'll just leave it like that, and now over here we can specify that router. So I'm going to do router. We can again do it like this, but since everything else is defined this way, I'll do it like this in here. Okay. So let me save that. And if I did this correctly, these two routes should be available. Okay. And what did I name the other one? To do. So nothing happened there because we actually have to specify the view we want. So here I can erase this and we can do router view. And now that should work. So as you can see, to do goes here. And if you just go back to the main route, it should show our landing page content. So there is our router working in its basic state. So one thing I like to do is, let's go back to our main. I like to have the routes in their own file, similar to how Laravel does it. So let's go ahead and do that. You can put it within a folder if you like a routes folder, but I'm just going to put it here in a routes dot, oh sorry, not components, in src, routes.js file. And I'm going to grab all those routes right here. Just grab that and paste them in here. Now we need those imports as well. So we need these two. Take that out there and then paste it up here. And then we have to make sure to export default routes. So we can go back in here and import it. So import routes from routes. And if you save that, if I did everything correctly, this should still work. So the other one's to do. Okay, so it does. Cool. I think I resetted some of the padding here on the button, so let me just fix that quickly. So that should be in to-do list. Let me just put some padding here. 4 pixels is enough. There we go. Okay, let me put in the routes for the other pages that we made. So what's the other ones? Okay, so to do, and let me just import all of them. Okay, I think I didn't put any content in here, so let me just put some content. Content for about page. Let me just copy this. And let's do it for login, and there's an error. Oh, sorry, I need a root div. Okay. Okay, now let's test out our routes. So we have this, we have the main one, we have about, we have login, and we have register. Okay, so it looks good. Another cosmetic fix. Sorry, this is your CSS. I'll just do it for this one and I'll edit in the rest, but I think if I do flex center, that will center it. Check out register. Yep, okay. So I'll do the other ones behind the scenes. Okay, cool. So you may have noticed this hash symbol in the routes. That's the default behavior, so we can easily get rid of that and just have slash whatever route name we want by just going into our router here and doing mode history. Okay, just get rid of this. And now this should work without the hash. Cool. Register, login. Awesome. So now, how do we click on one and that go to the specific route? So how do we do this programmatically? So to do that, let's go into our master and copy this and comment it out. And then for each anchor tag, we can do something like this: router link, and then we can specify name in here. So this was home, and then we can specify where we want it to go. So in this case, it's to, we want it to go to slash. So let me do the same for the rest of them. So it's about, sorry, slash about, and that should do it. Let's see if the links work now. Okay, there we go. Home, about, login, register. Cool. Let's put one that goes to our app up here. So let's call it app. So let's make it go to do. Let's call it app. And let's change our, let's make sure we add that route in. Oh, it's already here. Cool. So this should take us to our app. Okay. Later on, we'll make this work the way it's supposed to work. So when you're logged in, it brings up the app, but if you're not logged in, it brings up a login page. So cool, we have our routes working. One thing I personally like to do is naming my routes. I do this all the time in Laravel, and I think it's a good idea to do it too within your client-side routes. So let me just clean this up and put them on its own line. Okay, so to add names, all we have to do is add another property here called name. And let's name all of our routes. So I'll name this one home. I'll name this one to do. I'll name this one about. This one could be called login. And this one could be named register. Oops. Okay. And now in our master, to link to the route name instead of the actual route, all we have to do is change this to a prop and change this to an object. So name, this one is going to go to home. So home, close the object, and that should work the same way. Let me just double check. And it does, cool. So I'm going to change the rest over. Okay, so I've changed all of them over to use route names instead. See if it still works. Cool. And it does. Awesome. So the advantage of that is the same advantage as it is in Laravel, whereas if we change the actual route, for example, we change about us, change the route to about us, we don't have to change anything else. It automatically goes to that route and we don't have to make any changes in our app. Cool. So one more thing worth mentioning is route variables. We probably won't be using it in our application, but I think it's worth showing you because you'll be using it in other applications. Okay, so let's go into our routes, and I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to call it to-dos. And to accept a variable, you do something like this. Just put colon and then the variable name. So I'm going to name ID. Let's name it to-dos. And the component will make a new one. Test to-dos variable. And I'm going to make one components marketing. We'll make it in here. Test to-dos variable. And let's make a new one. Test to-dos variable. Okay. I'm going to grab this. And to grab the ID that was passed in, all you have to do is, let me just put the ID passed in is, so just use route.params, and that's going to be available to you since we're using the router, and the name of the variable you used. So save that, and there's an error. Where's my error? Oh, test to-dos variable, okay. And then if we go to to-dos/3, there you go. So the ID passed in is whatever you passed in up here. Cool. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to set up client-side routing in our application so we can make it act more like a single-page app. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.